From saving pennies in a small blue bowl to having donated billions of dollars to charity, one man stands out in his effort to make money in order to get money. Sparked by a grandson having died from scarlet fever, this man gained an interest in improving healthcare in the United States. He created foundations that had a vast improvement on medicine and scientific research. He played a big part in the eradication of a number of diseases occurring in his time and promoted the education of medical doctors and scientists. From 1901 to 1937, John Davison Rockefeller showed great leadership through his intelligence of investing to make money and his generous philanthropy, as he left his legacy by advancing the worlds of medicine and research and helping to create and define our current system of philanthropy. At a time when the Industrial Revolution was in its beginning stages, John Davison Rockefeller was born to William Avery Rockefeller Sr. and Eliza Davison in Richford, New York on July 8, 1839. His father, William, was a con artist who spent very little time with his family. Raised mainly by a strict mother, John was a devout Baptist who went to church every week and never drank or smoked. He saved pennies, which he earned from doing odd jobs, in a blue glass bowl on the mantel. He was taught to tithe each week to the church and, because of this upbringing, he learned at a very early age to help others. When John's father disappeared for long stretches of time, John's leadership skills emerged as he was responsible for finding a way to support his mother and siblings. He acquired his first real job at age 16 as an assistant bookkeeper for Hewitt & Tuttle, a commission firm in Cleveland, Ohio, where his family had moved to. By the age of 19, John became interested in starting a business and, because he had a gift of thinking ahead, knew that oil refining was going to prosper in the future, so knew to invest in it. He needed $1,000 to start a company, so he went to his father for the loan. John got a lesson in investing that would help him for years to come, as he was required to pay the loan back with interest, which he did within a year. By 1865, at age 24, he owned his own oil refinery, which eventually became known as Standard Oil. This was a great accomplishment for someone of such a young age and was just the start of Rockefeller's lifetime of using money to make more money. By 1870, Cleveland was one of the 5 largest oil refining areas in the United States, and Standard Oil soon became the most profitable refinery in the nation. It took over most of its competitors in under 4 months. Politicians didn't understand how it became so powerful, and they saw it as a monopoly. Businessmen were very skeptical about the company's methods of doing business and earning money, and citizens were worried about the competition between Standard Oil and other businesses. Rockefeller was judged harshly about his monopoly, and some thought his company was evil. At one point, he was the most hated man in America. He began hiding from the media, and his family couldn't stand that people were calling John names like robber baron or octopus, and that threats were being made against his life. John decided to retire from the oil business and put his efforts towards something that was more important to him from an early age, using his earnings to help humankind. It eventually became the mission of the whole Rockefeller family to promote the well-being of mankind. The public thought that his interest in starting philanthropic foundations was just a scheme to try to improve his image. In The Story of the Rockefeller Foundation, written by Raymond B. Fosdick, a former president of the Rockefeller Foundation, Fosdick stated that even though it was the common thought of the public that Rockefeller was only donating money to look good to the public, this was not the case. He wrote, "Critics have frequently charged that Mr. Rockefeller's benefactions were set up as a shield against public censure in an attempt to re-establish himself and ward off the abuse to which over many years he was subjected. But this contention is not borne out by the facts. Rockefeller's upbringing and legacy of generosity were the real reasons that John had a newfound commitment to philanthropy. Modern philanthropy, which is trying to get rid of social human problems by solving what causes them, as opposed to giving a person money to relieve suffering temporarily, got started because of a capitalist society coming about in the late 1800s. John D. Rockefeller, who had a great amount of experience in investing money to make more money, had a big part in this. He is quoted as saying, "I believe the power to make money is a gift of God, to be developed and used to the best of our ability for the good of mankind. Having been endowed with the gift I possess, I believe it is my duty to make money and still more money and to use the money I make for the good of my fellow man according to the dictates of my conscience." Rockefeller rose above others in his effort to make money to use towards coming up with solutions to get rid of problems in society. With this idea, he left his legacy by revolutionizing philanthropy. Rockefeller's philanthropy was based on the idea that in order to help others, they had to learn to help themselves. Before formalizing his donations, he was receiving thousands of personal letters from individuals begging for money. They were in bad situations and just wanted someone to help them for free. Rockefeller is quoted as saying, "Charity is injurious unless it helps the recipient to become independent of it." Rockefeller knew that giving handouts was just a temporary fix that would not help in the long run. Because of his strong belief in this idea, his philanthropy mostly consisted of forming foundations that he created to serve this purpose. In 1901, the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research was founded in New York City. One purpose of the institution was to give formal education to doctors to make sure that they were trained and held the standards. This was an important contribution to the economy as well as the society, because people who didn't trust doctors would now feel safe going to them, so this would end up turning medicine into a money-making organization. Another purpose was for Rockefeller to invest in ideas that used research to heal people. This was the first research institute for experimental medicine and the first to use biomedical research. An example of his influence on modern medicine and the legacy he left behind is a list of 47 Nobel Prize winners in medicine and chemistry that received funding from his generosity. Some projects that helped eradicate some of the greatest known threats to human health at the time included searches for the causes of yellow fever, tuberculosis, typhoid fever, and diphtheria, and drug development for meningitis and African sleeping sickness. Helping to rid the world of these diseases are a big part of Rockefeller's legacy. In 1909, Rockefeller founded the Rockefeller Sanitary Commission with a $1 million donation. Before Rockefeller's donations, people didn't know much about medicine. Hookworm was spreading quickly in the South and the community didn't know what to do about it. The commission was formed to research hookworm disease, to try to find a cure for it, and to educate people in the South about the disease. Because the hookworm eradication project was only commissioned to last 5 years, at the ending of this project, Rockefeller wrote a letter to the Sanitary Commission, reassuring them that if they needed to continue their work, they could contact another one of his recently formed foundations, the Rockefeller Foundation. The Sanitary Commission finally eradicated the disease and saved millions of lives. The Rockefeller Foundation, which is Rockefeller's most notable philanthropy, had been founded in 1913 in Albany, New York, by Rockefeller Sr., Rockefeller Jr., and Frederick T. Gates. It was started to fund medical research and public health improvements, and to promote the well-being of mankind throughout the world. The foundation through the years has given much assistance to the matters of public health, education of medical workers, agricultural training about decreasing food production, scientific advancement, social research, and other fields all over the world. This foundation, in following scientific processes to solve problems, was the first scientific-based approach to charity. This and Rockefeller's other philanthropic organizations had a great impact on improving healthcare, scientific research, and medicine to what we now know it to be. These organizations had a massive impact on the United States and the world, and are still helping people today. John D. Rockefeller died in 1937 at the age of 97, and is buried under a simple but impressive monument in the shadow of James A. Garfield's resting place and overlooking a view of the city where he made his vast fortune, Cleveland, Ohio. As evidence of John Rockefeller's legacy into modern times, the Rockefeller Institute, which is now Rockefeller University, with its adjoining research hospital and the Rockefeller Foundation, still exists today. To continue his philanthropy, as promised by his family, new foundations, such as Rockefeller Brothers Fund, which was formed by John's grandsons, are also working today to advance social change, promote sustainable development, and build peace through grants.
In the 93 years of my life, depressions have come and gone. Prosperity has always returned and will again. Let us, with faith in God, in ourselves, and in humanity, go forward, courageously resolved to play our part worthily in building a better world.